Well, the kids are at school and daycare, so let's go hit the water. Today by the water, we're going to be talking about environmental pressure and just how exactly could it benefit fishermen. Here's the pros and cons. How are y'all doing? I'm just setting up my line here before I hit the water right here. So there's a lot of questions about environmental pressure and how can it affect fish, because I mentioned it in a video previously about how environmental pressure can affect how fish behave in the water. Either they chase your bait or they're just way too lazy. Well, in this video I'm going to talk about exactly pros and cons for the fish and for us on why environmental pressure is important. And by the way, I'm going to tie a blood knot, and I'm going to make a video on that this week on how to tie a blood knot, or maybe even today after my little fishing journey. Well, now that I got my clinch knot and my loop knot all done and my blood knot, we're going to go do some fishing. Well, that was fun while it lasted. I had to pack up my things and go because there's so many boats coming out of nowheres, parking themselves on the deck, well, on the docks. So they were kind of in my range of fire. I was able to catch a nice sized perch and also how do you call it in English? I think it was a shiner, but in French we call it chevalier. It's a nice fish. But what was the point of this video again? Right, I forgot. Environmental pressure. So environmental pressure refers to changes to an ecosystem that could affect fish's behavior and their survival. Factors like water temperature, pollution, habitat loss. And did you know that overfishing could cause fish stress for their population? That's right, fish also stress, just like most of us. These changes could affect fish's feeding, breeding, and migration patterns. Over time, fish might adapt to these changes, migrate to more favorable environments, or face population decline if they just can't cope. Understanding environmental pressure is crucial for protecting fish species and all aquatic ecosystem. Now that you all understand all of that, how about we talk about how we can use environmental pressure to our advantage as fishermen? Environmental pressure could benefit all fishermen by influencing fish's behavior, simply just making them more predictable. For example, changes in water temperature or oxygen could simply just get fish to all gather in a specific place. It's like hearing about that great barbecue spot downtown and everyone gathers at that same spot because apparently it's the best one in town and there's no other spot for them. So the same thing with fish. Depending on all these changes, it could just influence them to all gather around the same area, as we like to call fishing hotspots. That being said, additionally, fish will alter their feeding habits, making them more active. For example, if you're using spoons, lures, jigs, poppers, the list goes on. If you're using bait for them to chase, depending on the pressure, they will chase it or they won't chase it. All that basically just to say that it all depends on the time and place where the pressure is happening. If the pressure is less or more, will define what you catch or how you catch it. So environmental pressure is like a fisherman's tool to be able to predict fish's whereabouts, I guess you can say, more efficiently. However, sustainable fishing practices ensure that environmental pressures don't deplete fish's population in the long run. By the way, before I let you go, if you find these tips helpful in any way, like and subscribe, share it to your friends if you like. If they're all fishermen just like us, there's always something to learn. Now, riddle me this, fisherman. Understanding these changes in environment help what? Help you do what? And is bad for who? And when? I'm just kidding, I'm going to tell you the answer. Understanding these changes will help fishermen adapt and improve catching their fish with maximum success. So all that being said, environmental pressure does play a huge role in our world, especially when we're fishermen and catching fish. Either we're using worm, or if we're using jigs, lures, poppers, spinners, spoons. Depending on the bait you're using at the right time will have a big effect. I, for example, use just a worm all the time. High pressure, low pressure, it still does a trick. They bite either way. They can't resist a wiggly worm, if that makes sense. So the next time before you hit the water, go on your phone, go to the weather broadcast, scroll all the way down, and look for pressures. The pressure we're looking for is 29.92 and below if you're trying to catch fish using lures, spoons, jigs, poppers. But if the pressure is above 29.92, use a worm. Either way, use a worm in all occasions. So that's the secret line. 29.92. If it's below it, they will chase it. If it's above it, they'll just leave it alone or just stick with a worm. So hopefully this video has been helpful a lot. And if you did enjoy it, subscribe below, leave a comment with questions. And if you do leave a question, I highly recommend you write next to your question, "I accept," so that way I know that I can use you in reference in my next videos if you have a question and if I'm making a video answering your question. Because I'm not going to call you out if I definitely don't have permission. So all that being said, my name is Brandon. You're watching Fishing Made Simple. Happy fishing and catch you later.